On Track with Vanessa Womack continues with a conversation with Todd Weatherless. Hello, Todd.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
So good to have you with me today.
Thank you.
Well, with our audience today. And so this is exciting because I am continuing my conversations with millennials, the voices of the future, and particularly millennials of color. So, not that I'm going to stop there. I want to be very inclusive in all my conversations going forward. But I did want to get you in because I know you're a busy young man. And we wanted to just kind of have a conversation about your life because I don't know you. I'm just meeting you for the first time. But it's a fascinating life story. So, share with us, who is Todd Weatherless?
Todd is the son of Michael and Amanda Weatherless, originally from Newport News, Tidewater area of Virginia. Went to Mitchell High School, was an athlete there, and graduated with honors from my high school. Went on to VCU in 2005, 2006, and my journey kind of took a different path than I think my parents and I had foreseen for me as a child there. Went through a few years struggling with addiction to drugs and alcohol. In 2013, I made my way back to Richmond after going back home for a few years to try to get things on track. And I ran into an organization there called Todds, and they helped me get sober. And so I've been sober since December 9th, 2013. And currently, I volunteer with Todds on a very regular basis. I'm a coach for their 10K team. I'm currently a student at J. Sargent Reynolds, majoring in criminal justice.
Wonderful.
We'll finish up this summer, and we'll be at VCU in the fall. And I work part-time and full-time, one at the Kroger spot, as well as a fitness consultant at Gold's Gym.
Wonderful. I mean, what a story. What a story. And, I mean, it's almost he's lived a lifetime, and he's not even, 26?
I wish.
But that's fascinating because some people will look at you and not even know what's behind the surface. So I want to applaud you for how far you've come with your sobriety, and you're giving back to the community. And that's what part of these conversations with millennials, and that's part of what I know that, I try to reach out as part of my passion, and I would say part of my life calling, to reach out to people and talk to them and have them share with me and me share with them how they're making an impact throughout the world, whether it's a local community or global. And I think it's fascinating that your journey can help and has helped so many people. What happened? I mean, did the being at a campus or being away from home, how did that happen?
I definitely attribute it to life decisions. I think I was raised with a military background. Dad was a submariner. And I think for me, getting out on my own at 18 and breaking away from that nest and having the ability to start making some decisions, I made some bad ones. I would almost, it's part of it. You kind of think sometimes like it's the crowd, right? But what I've had the ability to learn and accept about myself is that ultimately it all begins and starts with me. I have to be accountable to my decisions.
Say that again because some people think, well, I was influenced by other people. You have control over what you do.
100%. I have to be accountable because all those people that were doing those things with me, prior to me finally getting back on track in 2013, had moved on with their lives. And so it opened my eyes, especially going through the process of getting sober, to say every decision that I made started with Todd and it ended with Todd.
Right.
Okay. So I had to accept that.
All right. Well, where is Todd right now? You have a full-time and a part-time job. Are you developing going towards that career? Now, I think the school, being in school really helps. You're working towards that goal of being in criminal justice. And but you're doing a lot of other things to help strengthen you outside and inside to move forward to that career in criminal justice. Now, what do you want to be when you get your degree?
So I have kind of an intermediate goal and a long-term goal.
Okay.
An intermediate goal and something that's been really interesting to me as of late is law enforcement. I think I'll have about 2 years left at VCU when I get there in the fall.
Okay.
And that's what I've been kind of keeping my eye on. RPD is something, Richmond Police Department is something that's interesting to me, or what I would like to pursue. I've been fortunate through my networking at Todds to have met some police officers already.
Yes.
So I'm getting my foot in the door, trying to strengthen those relationships, let them see who I am, and not let a background dictate the person that I am. And my lifetime goal has always been to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Law enforcement has intrigued me recently because as I watched the relationships between minorities and police departments throughout our country, and it's something that's become a hot button, front page issue.
Yes.
I began to wonder, what could I do to make something, make a difference?
So what would you do once you have to go through the academy even after your degree, and you're put out there on the streets? What would you envision you doing to make an impact or make a difference? To kind of have changed the crisis that we're in right now? What would you do, especially here in Richmond, with some of the high poverty and high crime areas?
So fortunately, my life experiences have taught me that meeting people where they are is an important part of developing rapport or relationships just in life. And there's a speaker I listen to who talks a lot about minority relations and with law enforcement. His name is, he's a rapper named Big Mike. And Big Mike, he makes a lot of great points about how we as African Americans really aren't ready to separate ourselves from the system that we claim we hate. And one thing he really preaches is that parents don't send their 20-year-old kids out to these streets to try to fight a war that they weren't willing to fight. To try to, he says, survive the encounter until we can have more brown faces in positions like on a bench or in a uniform. And that's what I hope to be, is a relatable face to say, hey, I'm not here to bring crime and punishment all the time. I'm here to try to understand what the problem is and see if we can get to a solution. I don't think the solution is always incarceration or punitive. I think sometimes people just need someone to talk to, someone they can relate to, and that's what I hope to bring.
Well, I hope people will listen to you on this video, because you are a voice for the future. And we want parents and young people, and oh my gosh, I'm a boomer. I'm part of that. You need to do something to change the system. So we want people to be inspired by your journey and what you aspire to do to make a difference in the community, especially in criminal justice. So tell us, if you had to change one thing in this local or global community, I have to look at it worldwide, what would you do? What would be that change? I know there are many changes, but it's like we don't have time to talk about all of them, but what would make a big difference besides you being a presence on the police force? What would make a big difference?
The one thing locally I would like to see difference is some change in our education system. I do support another nonprofit called Stay RVA, and their focus, from what I understand, their primary goal is to try to keep people into the city schools.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people leaving to go to the counties to go to those schools, or they take their kids out of the public schools and put them in charter schools, and that has an effect outward. Because when you take one kid out, the money that would have gone for that kid, is now taken out of their budget. I would like to see something happen with our education system here locally. I don't have the answers. I know the mayor has a plan in place that he might like to try to get moving, but I think that would help tremendously if we can get structure and education, back to our youth.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great point where we can wrap up, and I really appreciate this conversation. I'd like to have more conversations with you and some of your peers, and even some of those folks that have been impacted by your journey. That would be a great conversation to have. And speaking of education, definitely has been a passion for me, and even ran for school board twice, but didn't win. But the experience of running was phenomenal. It's all about the experience. I encourage other people to do this. Anyway, Todd Weatherless, I am so glad you came to spend some time with On Track with Vanessa Womack, and do come again. Thank you.
Thank you.